From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
This is Doug Gottlieb from All Ball with Doug Gottlieb. Listen, I'm going to get serious for a minute. The hate in our country is getting out of control. In fact, it's sadly at an all-time high. But it's going to take all of us to stop it. I mean, we're all on the same team in this country. So let's take a break from our hate so our team can regroup. We need to take a timeout against hate. Visit standuptoallhate.org to help. And join me in calling for timeout against hate by following @What'sUpWithHate or posting the blue square emoji.
It's time to get inside the Giants Huddle.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
On Giants.com.
I like it, I like it.
And the Giants mobile app.
Boom, give me some juice.
Part of the Giants Podcast Network.
Let's roll.
Welcome to another edition of the Giants Huddle Podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. John Schmeelk with you. Great show coming your way today. Tyler Nubin, Giants safety, will join us. John DeShazier from the Saints official team website, their senior writer, he'll join us as well. And then Bob Papa with head coach of the Giants, Brian Daboll, as we get ready for the Giants and Saints at MetLife Stadium Sunday at 1 o'clock. We're going to lead off with my conversation with Giants safety Tyler Nubin. And now we're joined by Giants safety Tyler Nubin. Tyler, how's it going, man?
It's going good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. So how has been practice this week?
It's been great, man. It's been great. A lot of energy, man. We just ready for the next one, bro.
It can be tough. You know, the team's 2-10. You've struggled. You haven't won a game in a while. How has this team kept the energy up and kept the positive vibes going?
Oh, well, we got great people in here, man. From my teammates to coaching staff to training staff. I think everybody just, likes being around each other, likes working together. So it's pretty easy to have that energy when you're around people that, you enjoy being around. And, obviously the situation and the season's not going how we want it to, but you could either choose to be positive about it or be negative. So I think a lot of people have chosen to be positive and keep moving forward.
No, unfortunately, you've lost two of your leaders this week. Dexter Lawrence for the year with the elbow. Bobby Okereke hasn't practiced yet. We're recording this on Thursday afternoon. How has the team tried to make up for, let's start with their leadership first and then being such loud voices in your room? I
think it's just everybody just taking care of them first and making sure that they're on point with everything they got going on, making sure communication is great. And, I think we got a lot of, younger guys like myself, stepping up and being voices now. Drew's being a lot louder. Moose has been a lot louder. So I think it's just, everybody's getting more comfortable and stepping up and being that leader.
I was going to ask you about that because as a rookie, you obviously can't step in right away and start telling these vets what to do, right?
Right.
They're not going to take that. But now we're in December. A lot of people would say you're not even a rookie anymore, right? You played 12 games. Are you feeling more comfortable taking that type of leadership role that I know you had in your collegiate career?
Yeah, 100%, man. And I think that's just, that's a testament to all the older guys and the vet guys really making us feel comfortable, especially the guys that have come in and played a lot of ball, that we can be leaders. So I really was pushed by older guys like Bobby, like Nacho, like Burns, to be that leader and be that voice because they know I can and because I've proven it. And they give me the confidence to be able to do that every day.
And imagine in young secondary, too. You have Adoree back there. He's obviously the vet of the group. Jason's been in the league for a couple years, but nobody on their second and their third contracts, really.
Right.
How has it been trying to kind of bring such a young group together as either you or Jason's kind of been that, center field or post player for a lot of this year?
Honestly, obviously the season's been difficult, but I don't think it's been hard to, bring us together and want to work together and do good and, watch film together and do those things. So it's been great, just having a relationship with those guys because we're kind of all in the same boat. Just kind of getting in, establishing ourselves as a player and who we are. So I think, everybody's kind of, doing the same thing. So, we all relate to each other in that way.
We had Pinnock in here a month ago. How has it been learning next to him and him kind of trying to teach you the ropes of the NFL a little bit?
It's been awesome, bro. Honestly,
he's a great dude, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, great dude, bro. One of my best friends on the team. And he's always open to helping the young guys out, giving us little pointers how to play things better, what he's seen. So he's been a great resource since I've gotten here for sure.
All right, but before we get to you personally here, Dexter Lawrence, we talked about his loss as a leader. How about his loss as a player? One man cannot replace Dexter Lawrence. So
no.
How does
might need three?
Yeah, you might need three. How does your defense as a whole try to at least make up for the loss that he brings in terms of his production?
Like I said earlier, everybody just stepping up and going harder. The communication's got to be that much better. Your details have to be that much better. Everything has to be that much better because, he was a guy that made up for a lot of, mistakes out there sometimes because of who he is.
Can't block him.
Right, exactly. So, so I think it's just everybody just being that much more locked in on their job and everybody just working together. Playing 11-on-11 football that's really the only thing we can do.
If Bobby can't go this week and Darius Musa to step in, fellow rookie, I'm sure you've been close to him and learning with him along the way. What have you seen from him in practice, and is he ready to step in and take that mantle a little bit?
Oh, yeah. I think Musa's been ready to step in all year. He's a guy that flies around. He talks a lot, and he's going to get to that football. That's the one thing that we know about him. He's going to get to that ball. So I think he's definitely ready to step in and, contribute for us.
I was looking at where you've lined up this year, and it's almost equal at the line of scrimmage, and I'm including your slot snaps because you're kind of on the line with those, right, to playing deep post.
Right.
How has it been trying to get used to playing in all these different spots, which really have different roles, right, and different responsibilities, and trying to learn all those things at once over the course of your rookie year?
Yeah, it's been a challenge, man. Definitely a learning curve, especially with the NFL, man. And they're trying to attack you so many different ways when you're in those different spots. Curl flat players, you got to make sure you play top down, not get beat on bows and 7 routes. When you're on top of the field, you got to make sure you're staying inside, don't get beat on the post. So it's definitely a little bit of mental gymnastics sometimes when you're in different spots. You got to know, okay, this is my job. This is what I can't get beat on. So I'm definitely still learning, still getting better at that, and can have a lot more focus when I'm out there of, where I'm at and what my responsibility is for sure.
Do you feel like you've taken to any one of those roles quicker than maybe some of the others?
Honestly, I think out on the field, like when I'm in a position, I think I learn it fast, and I think that the little nuances and the details within those calls and those situations that I'm in are going to have to come with time and seeing things and getting beat on a couple things a couple times. So learning the actual position is not hard, but like the things that the offense are going to try to do to attack you when you're in that position, that's what I'm still learning. So still obviously still going. There's going to be a lot more things I haven't seen yet that I have to defend. So just got to keep going.
But you kind of have to see it, right? I mean, you can go over it on tape, you can watch on a video, but until you see it play out in front of you, you're not going to learn it, right?
Yeah, right. It's not the same at all. Yeah, definitely. When the bullets are flying on the field, it's a lot different than when you're holding the clicker in the film room and looking at something. So, definitely going to have to keep getting those experiences.
So when I've been holding the clicker, rewatching the games, one thing I think you've taken to very well, when you're at the line, whether it's in the box as almost like a quasi linebacker, right, when you drop down, or even in the slot, I think your run support's been really, really good.
Appreciate it.
I think you've been reading holes, you've been filling your gap, you've been attacking, not letting the blockers get out to you. Why do you think, and you tell me if you disagree with my assessment, do you think you've taken so well to the stuff around the line of scrimmage and the run support?
Just how I was prepared in college, really, just being in a Big Ten West defense and, stopping the run.
I was stop the run the Big Ten, right?
Yeah, exactly, bro. And I was coming from like 10, 15 yards in college, so now I'm only coming from 5. So it gives me a lot more confidence to go out there and, be physical because obviously I'm closer to the line and I'm already comfortable with, being in the run game.
How much more difficult is it to read and decipher what NFL offenses are trying to do compared to what the offenses in the Big Ten were trying to do to you?
I'd say it's definitely a lot harder, but I'd say that with film study, they don't lie to you as much. I feel like in college, it's a lot of, game plan teams and, you could get different looks, whole different sets every single game. But in the NFL, they don't lie to you very often. And when they do give you their nuances, it's obviously it's something different out of the same formation. So there's a lot less things that you have to look out for, but the things that you do have to look out for, you have to be on top of it. Because if you're not on it, it's not like college where you miss a curl flat drop, they're gonna hit that. You know what I mean? So you just gotta be locked into every single situation when it comes up.
Your margin for error is a lot smaller.
Yeah,
in the NFL, right?
very much so.
Absolutely. Sure. Now, I'm sure you were really good as a run helper in college. You're also really good getting your hands on the football. And I'm sure it's driving you nuts a little bit that you haven't gotten your hand on the football as much this year.
I've been going crazy.
I can only imagine. Yeah. Why do you think that hasn't maybe happened as quickly for you as you might like?
I don't know. I just don't think the opportunities have been there yet. And it's just weird. And, our whole defense really doesn't have any picks yet. So, I'm not, it's not on one person. It's not on the call. It's not on the defense. I just think, the opportunities just haven't been there. And when they do come, I just got to be ready for it because, I can't miss them because I need one before the season ends for sure.
Is part of that stopping the run? Where if you stop the run a little better, you put teams in some of those 3rd and longs, and then maybe you have some more opportunities to be a little bit more aggressive and maybe get your hands on the football a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, football goes hand in hand, everything, offense, defense, special teams, to where if you're playing a certain way, certain things are going to have to happen to the offense in order for them to put themselves in those situations where they're throwing the ball down the field and they have to go score points and they have to go push the ball down the field. So, like you said, man, we got to stop the run. We got to be way better on earlier down so we can get some 3rd and longers. I know we've been, having a lot of 3rd and shorts this year, 3rd and 3 to 6, and, sometimes offenses aren't very keen to throw the ball down the field when it's 3rd and 3 to 6. They're just going to get the first down and keep it going. So just a lot of those situations have come up, and if we're better on early down, I think we can start putting ourselves in those situations more.
As a team, have you figured out, is there a link of why you've had trouble stopping the run this year, do you think?
I feel like every week it always just comes down to one or two things, and it's little small things.
And it's different things on different runs, too.
Exactly.
It's not the same thing on all these runs.
Right, yeah, it's not. It's never the same thing. Cause I don't think we're a team that really makes the same mistakes twice, but, we get different run schemes and different looks every single week, and so it might be one or two things that, we're not on top of for that week that turns into explosive run games in the NFL, because if you're not on top of everything, if you're not all in the right gaps, these running backs are way too good.
Now, there was one play that you did get your hand on the football. Mm-hmm. Mike Evans, one-on-one coverage, going to be a Hall of Famer, right? Mm-hmm. That must have been pretty cool for you, right, to be able to cover him. And you were kind of one-on-one with him in the slot. You got to hand the ball. Take us through that play. And did that kind of give you a preview of when things start clicking, what you can do? Right,
yeah. That was just a little safety pressure from Jay Penn. I was replacing him, came down on Evans in the slot, and through film study throughout the week, I just knew every time he was lined up in that slot, he'd either run an out or a 7. So I just kind of banked on that film study and made a break. And right when he started breaking it down, I kind of broke with him. And I honestly surprised myself that I got that
hell of a play.
Yeah, I kind of surprised myself because the ball came and I should have put 2 hands out for it, but I only put 1. I pretty sure I could have made a play on that for sure.
All right, two quick ones before we go. Where do you think you've improved the most your game from when you stepped in the building here to where you are now?
I think my communication and just being in the right positions in the run game has been a major improvement just from earlier in the season. And just my angles, I feel like my angles were bad at the beginning of the season too. So, always trying to improve on those. And also I feel like just being on top of the field, in the deep part of the field, I think I've been pretty good at doing that, not letting shots down the field on my side. So just gotta keep getting better.
Finally, Alvin Kamara, pretty awesome player. You get to face him this week. What's the key to slowing him down and really the Saints' offense, which revolves around him?
Man, 11 hats to the ball, man. He's a guy that you can't ever guarantee him down. So we're gonna make sure that one guy is not tackling him this week. It's gonna be a gang tackle every time.
Tyler, good stuff. Thank you, man. Good luck.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Huddle up. Get in here. If you're lined up here, you gotta go over the middle with it to score.
Right. How do we make that happen?
I don't know, but Citizens does.
Make sense of your money with Citizens, official bank of Eli Manning.
The best part of football season? Checking out the post-game stats. Which wideouts scored more than 2 touchdowns? Which QBs threw for less than 350 yards? Think you can pick who will do what before kickoff? Then play Pick 6 from DraftKings, an official daily fantasy partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app, select between 2 and 6 players, and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. It's that simple. And for all first-time Pick 6 players, check this out. New customers play $5 on your first pick set, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Download the new DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code DK1. That's code DK1 for new customers to play $5 on your first pick set, get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Non-withdrawable. Pick 6 credits. Expire in 6 months. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
That's Giant safety Tyler Nubin. Great stuff out of him. Don't forget the Giants Huddle podcast is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. From game day celebrations to your everyday financial needs, Big Blue fans can get the most out of every moment with Citizens. Learn more at citizensbank.com/Giants. We go from Tyler Nubin to John DeShazier, who covers the New Orleans Saints for the team's official site. And now we're joined by John DeShazier. He is the chief writer, head writer for New Orleans Saints, the team site. John, good to talk to you, man. How are you?
I'm doing great, John, other than not winning a lot of football games, but we're doing pretty good over here.
Well, we can wallow in each other's self-pity for the next 10, 15 minutes, John. That'll be great. So let's start here. Lengthy injury report for the Saints. Who should we be keeping an eye on as guys that legitimately might not have a chance to play that have been limited in practice?
Well, we know Taysom Hill's going to be out, so that's going to be a guy who's not going to be playing. I think you probably want to pay attention to guys who might be in. I think Kendre Miller, who's going to be in at running back. He hadn't played in quite some time with that hamstring injury, so he looks like he's going to be back. Cesar Ruiz had a concussion. He looks like he's going to play. And then you get back Eric McCoy at center and probably Lucas Patrick at left guard. So the offensive line is going to be whole for the first time in weeks, maybe months, with the starting unit that began the regular season. So that's a positive for this team. But for the most part, the injured guys who won't be going are guys who weren't going to be factors anyway. You lost the 2 wide receivers a long time ago, Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. So they're making do obviously with Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's been a revelation for this team. I don't know how the guy was on the street, but he's really been good for this franchise. And so now they're just trying to pick it up and piecing in the parts at running back without Taysom Hill.
All right, so let's talk about the offense. You mentioned you lost the 2 wide receivers some time ago. They've kind of leaned into the run game, double tight ends, and a lot of Taysom Hill, but now Taysom Hill's not there, right? So yes. They're running out of weapons. They can't give it to Alvin Kamara 40 times a game. So how do you think they're going to adjust now without Taysom Hill and without those 2 wide receivers in terms of getting the ball to their weapons?
Well, you give it to Alvin Kamara 35 times a game. No, it's probably going to be, there will be, I would imagine, a heavy dose of Alvin Kamara, but also Kendre Miller, who pretty much fell out of favor in the previous regime under Dennis Allen, and he said he was ready to come back and play. Who knows? But he is ready to play now. And so he'll be the guy who comes in and helps at running back. Jamal Williams also there at running back. But I think they're expecting more of the change of pace guy being Kendre Miller. He's got a little pop to him. He's got a little wiggle to him. He's a big kid, probably 220, 230, and he's got some speed to him. So he will be the guy. Now, he's not going to be Taysom Hill. He will not be taking snaps, from center and playing quarterback power. But he is a change of pace guy for Alvin Kamara because, let's be honest, Alvin, who's having a really good year. Alvin's, having a career year. He's 39 rushing yards away from setting his career high and 106 yards away from his first 1,000-yard season. So he's having a really good season. But there's been a lot of wear and tear on Alvin Kamara this year. He's had rib injuries. He's had hand injuries. He's had, hip injuries. He's had a lot of nicks that he has had to overcome to continue to play. And he's played every game. But there will be a heavy dose of him because, the Giants have not been the best run defense. So you would expect that he'll get a heaping helping of carries, and when I say heaping helping for Alvin, that's probably, 18 to 22, somewhere in there. That's where they want to keep him, not in the 28 range.
Yeah, and the Giants, you mentioned their rush defense. It's been terrible. Now they're probably not going to be without Bobby Okereke, their middle linebacker, no Dexter Lawrence, so who knows what that's even going to look like. They could be down to 3 practice squad defensive tackles, to be honest with you. So we'll see how that ends up going for the Giants this week. How has this offense changed and this team overall changed since they moved on from Dennis Allen and went with Darren Rizzi?
Well, they seem to have figured out, they want to do a lot more motion. You can identify things when you have more motion. And they seem to be doing that, and that seems to be working well for them. They won the first 2 games. They lost the last game against the Rams. But Derek Carr, he's got 6 touchdowns and no interceptions in his 4 games that he's been back since he had that oblique injury, completing 68% of his passes. So he's been pretty efficient, but they've really been able to run the ball a little bit better. Now you have to subtract Taysom Hill from that now, so we'll have to see how that goes. But they've been able to run the ball better. They protected Derek Carr. He hadn't been sacked in the last 4 games, so that's been a good. Only been sacked twice, excuse me. So that's been a good thing. And if you have your offensive line whole and you're playing against a defensive line that's kind of makeshift, then you would expect or hope that success could continue. But that's been the main thing with them. And then again, getting Marquez Valdez-Scantling has just been a revelation for this team. They didn't have any outside threats when those 2 guys went down. So they couldn't get the ball down the field. They couldn't go for chunk plays. They couldn't go for explosives. They didn't have anybody to stretch the field. Well, now they've got that guy. And I would imagine the Giants know they've got that guy too. So you're probably going to have to do some things underneath and nibble your way down the field a couple of times. But they do have a guy that you do feel comfortable just throwing it out there and seeing if he can make a play for you, because he's 6'4" and he can run fast. And again, I don't know what was going on in the previous places where he was, but I just know he's been a really good fit for the Saints.
Yeah, look, he's a big time deep threat. That's the offensive side of the ball. John, how about defense? Dennis Allen has been the architect of this Saints defense for almost 10 seasons. What has this defense, if at all, looked different since they moved on from him as the head coach?
Well, I mean, first they were able to stop the run. They stopped the run pretty good against Cleveland, but they've had some run issues this entire season. I mean, we've had seasons around here for the Saints where they didn't give up, they were giving up 90 yards a game, and they went through a streak where there might have been like 40, 50 games where they didn't have a 100-yard rusher. And now they can't stop the run. They are having difficulties with their run fits, with their gap fits, with their discipline, with their tackling. And those things have shown up big time for this team. So even though Darren Rizzi is 2-1 as the head coach, they've still had issues with that. They're giving up the chunk plays, with whether it be in the passing game or the run game, and those things. And even then, when it hadn't been a 30-yard run, it's been an 8-yard run. So you get to 2nd and 2, and now your defense is on its heels the entire time. So they've had issues with that this entire season. And it's been one of those things where you feel like they know what's happening. They know how to talk their way through it. But when they get on the field, it all goes to pot because they hadn't been able to do it and hadn't been able to show you that they can do it consistently. So basically every team that's played this team has said, you know what? We think we can run it on them, and the Giants can run the ball. We think we can run it on them. And now that you don't have either of your starting cornerbacks, that's B. Paulson Adebo, who's out with an injury, and Marshawn Lattimore, who's traded to the Commanders. Well, now you've got Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry, a rookie out there. Teams are challenging them, saying, you know what? We feel like we can get some traction in the pass game and in the run game. And if you got a guy like Malik Neighbors, you're probably going to try him a little bit.
Yeah, no question about it. How about your pass rush? The Giants could be without, and Andrew Thomas is out for the year. They could be without Jermaine Illuminor and Evan Neal, which means they'll be down to Chris Hubbard and Josh Azudu at offensive tackle. You brought in Chase Young. He's been productive. Who are the pass rushers that the Giants are going to be circling with their red Sharpie when they prep for this game, when they take on your defense?
Well, they better be ready for a defensive tackle, Brian Brzee. He's got 6.5 sacks. He leads the team, and he has really improved from his rookie year. He's got a spin move that's been pretty much unstoppable from training camp on. I mean, he really understands how to set it up. Now he's got to be a better run passer. He's got to be a better run defender. But in terms of pass rush, he's been fantastic. Carl Granderson can still bring the heat. I think he's drawing a little bit more attention because he had, the double-digit sacks last season. So he's drawing a little bit more attention. But you have a good pair there. It looks like Peyton Turner has come on a little bit, even though he hadn't had the sacks numbers, but he's been, kind of disruptive. You mentioned Chase Young because Chase Young has gotten to the quarterback a lot this season. Hadn't gotten him on the ground a lot, only 3.5 sacks. But he's been able to get to the quarterback and be a little bit disruptive. You still have Cam Jordan, who's got the high motor. He doesn't have the sack totals of the previous years, but you always know that he can add in that category. And a guy to look out for, who I think is going to be active this week, maybe, is Tano Possumwa, who's, he ruptured his Achilles at the end of, in the offseason, and he's worked his way back. He's been practicing full these last couple of days, and he was a guy who last year at the end of the year, they were able to put him in at defensive end and defensive tackle, and he was very, very effective getting to the quarterback. So they've got 8 sacks over the last 3 games. all have been by defensive linemen, which means they've been doing a pretty good job up front. And that's probably what they want to be able to do, because you can devote more guys to the secondary, to the pass defense, if you only have to rush your front four.
Yeah, and then final one for you here, John. How have they replaced and moved on from Marshawn Lattimore? Obviously, he was such a staple in your guys' secondary. You drafted Kool-Aid McKinstry. You mentioned Alontae Taylor. How is the secondary looking without Marshawn Lattimore back there as your staple?
Well, Alontae Taylor's kind of ascended to the cornerback one slot, if you want to call it that, and he's been a little bit shaky at times there. Teams have gone after him, not like they would go after Marshawn Lattimore, and he's going to have to put his foot in the ground and establish himself, because he played really good at slot corner this year. That's where he started this year and last year, and he had developed into a really, really good slot. But he went back outside. He believes he's a cornerback, at heart. He wants to be cornerback one, but he's going to have that consistency that shows that. A lot of times he's in position, but he doesn't get the ball on the ground, or he doesn't get the turnover. And so that's the key. Marshawn Lattimore was able to get the turnover. He was able to get the ball on the ground. That's what Alontae Taylor has to be able to do if he's going to be in that spot. And Kool-Aid McKinstry, even though he's a rookie, he's from Alabama. He played in a lot of big games in college, so he's not afraid of the moment. But again, he's a guy who's going to have to prove it in the NFL, because, as you know, it doesn't matter what you did in college. These guys in the NFL, it doesn't matter what school they came from. They probably were the best guy at that school, and they've got skills. They're not just on the NFL rosters because they're handsome. They're on the NFL rosters because they can play. And so you can't undersell any guy when you're out there, especially if you're a couple of cornerbacks who don't have a great deal of experience. And there's no fear factor there. People don't look at Alontae Taylor and Kool-Aid McKinstry and say, you know what, we're not going to challenge those guys. They're going to get some challenges.
All right, a final question, and this is more of a look-ahead question. Obviously, the Saints will be trying to figure out what they're doing head coach-wise and all that stuff this offseason. Do you think it's like rookie quarterback or bust? Could Derek Carr be back? How do you think the Saints are going to handle that situation? I only ask because the Giants are in quarterback limbo as well, and I'm trying to figure out how they're going to handle their situation, John.
Well, I mean, I think Derek Carr, statistically, if you look at his numbers and you say, you know what, those are productive numbers. Those are numbers that you can win with. So I think they like him, and plus, you got a chunk of salary devoted to it. But I think they like him enough to where he's not in jeopardy. Now, obviously, these last 5 games will certainly help his cause or not help his cause, depending on how well he plays. But he's a guy who, when you have the full complement of players around him, when you have Chris Olave and you have Rashid Shaheed, and I don't know what's going to happen with Taysom Hill. He's torn an ACL, and he's going to be 34. So that's going to be a difficult ask to have him come back and be the Taysom Hill we're accustomed to seeing. But if you can surround him with the proper players and you can get some stability on the offensive line, Derek Carr has not been a bad quarterback for the Saints. He's been productive. He hadn't turned the ball over. And, not in today's NFL, if you don't have Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes, you just want a guy who can kind of keep the car steady in the road and don't turn it over and don't lose the game for you.
Yep.
So, hopefully he's in that area where, he might not win a lot of games, but you don't want him to lose the game. You just want him to keep it steady and in the middle of the road. So hopefully for him, he'll play well these last 5 weeks, but I don't think he's in jeopardy of going anywhere because, again, he's played well. His numbers say he's played well. He's had a couple of decisions where, like most quarterbacks, you say, man, you really shouldn't have done that. He's had a couple of picks where, you look and you say, man, he really should not have done that. But for the most part, he's been steady. And, when it's time to take a sack, he takes a sack. When it's time to throw it away, he throws it away. When it's time to dump it at somebody's feet, he throws it at somebody's feet. So he's been pretty steady from that standpoint.
John, safe travels to New Jersey. Thanks so much. Good luck the rest of the way. Good luck for I'm sure going to be an interesting offseason to cover. And we'll see you on Sunday, man. Thanks so much for the time.
Hey, John, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
If you want to know how to manage 2 minutes of crunch time football, I'm your man. But if you're wondering about a long-term financial plan, you should talk to Citizens. Hey, I can also talk lawn care.
I'd like to learn about a mowing routine.
Yes, I knew I could help. Make sense of your money with Citizens.
From the Delta Sky Club
Welcome back, Miss Klein.
to the Jet Bridge, Delta Airlines relies on 5G solutions from T-Mobile for Business to power operations and serve customers faster. Together, we're putting 5G into the hands of ground staff so they can better assist on-the-go travelers with real-time information throughout the airport. This is elevating customer experience. This is Delta Airlines with T-Mobile for Business. Take your business further at T-Mobile.com/now.
Good stuff from John. The Giants Huddle podcast is brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. Citizens will donate $750 to the Giants Foundation for each scoring drive during the 2024 season. Learn more at citizensbank.com/Giants. And now we're going to head to the head coach of the New York Football Giants, Brian Daboll, with the voice of the Giants, Bob Papa.
As always, we're joined by the head coach of the New York Giants, Brian Daboll, as the Giants take on the Saints. And Coach, if you take a look at this Saints team led by Derek Carr, one thing that they do a really good job of is protecting the football. He doesn't turn it over. Just talk a little bit about what they do schematically to make sure that they're pretty buttoned up in their operation.
Yeah, well, first of all, he's a good quarterback. Has a 103.3 quarterback rating. Like you said, does a good job of protecting the ball, but I think Coach Kubiak does a nice job of really running the ball, using his action game. You know, they try to stay out of unfavorable situations where, you know, a lot of times quarterbacks will make bad decisions or it's a little bit tougher to protect. But he gets the ball out, knows where he's going with the football, and the run game certainly helps. Yeah,
they lose Taysom Hill, but they still have Alvin Kamara, who's, he's such a multiple threat because he leads the team in both rushing yards and receiving yards. So they'll use him as much as they can, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, he's the number one guy we have to do a good job of defending in terms of their skill guys. They try to get him the ball a variety of ways. He's good with the ball in his hands when they hand it to him. And then obviously they use him a lot in the pass game. He's one of the most used running backs in the pass game, whether that's out of the backfield, motion him out to a receiver position. He has good hands, has good instincts, he's fast, he's been a productive player for a long time, and that's why they get him the ball, and they do it early and they do it often.
Coach, obviously stopping the run is imperative, and, you know, you took some hits, especially with, you know, an all-pro like Dexter Lawrence being knocked out of the lineup for the remainder of the season. What's the messaging to your team as far as the defense and making sure that you guys are sound, because Kamara could break the game wide open?
Yeah, you have to do a good job up front, and, you know, our young guys that are going to play today are going to have to be up to the challenge of playing physical, of executing assignments. And then, you know, the second level is going to have to do a good job of their run fits, and the third level is going to have to do a good job of tackles if those balls get past the first or second level of holding it to a 10 and 12-yard gain. You know, we cannot continue to have these long runs. It's you know, it hurts. It changes field position. Ultimately, it leads to points. So, you know, playing good at the line of scrimmage, run fits on the second level, and then tackling if it does get out on the third level.
Let's go to the offensive side of the football where, you know, when you take a look at protecting the football, Coach, they're really good, the Saints defense is, at interceptions. They have 7 of them on the season. What makes them so good at doing that?
Honey Badger is a pretty special player. You know, he's made a few of them. Does a great job reading the quarterback's eyes. He's very instinctive. He might be supposed to be in a certain spot, but he vacates it because he sees something that, you know, he's an instinctive player. He's played a long time, and they've done a nice job of getting their hands up, of getting some tip balls, and a couple defensive linemen have interceptions, one down in the red zone. So, again, they do a nice job of giving you a variety of looks, but their players make some good plays.
You know, when you take a look at the guys that they have up front, there's a lot of veteran leadership there with Jordan, obviously, who's been in the league and has been in multiple Pro Bowls. Shepard's been around for a while. Granderson, you got Chase Young coming off the edge. And then Demario Davis is just one of those guys in the middle that never seems to go away. And they mix things up a little bit, don't they, with that front?
Yeah, absolutely. They got, like you said, a lot of veteran leadership. Davis is, you know, he's the mainstay in the middle there, and he's a tough physical player, been that way for a long time. Obviously, Cam's been there since 2011 playing football and playing at a high level. And then you put Matthew back there. And then they got some young players with Taylor, who's, you know, has a few years in the league, and Kool-Aid coming out as a rookie. They got a good mix.
Let's talk a little bit about Drew Lock. You know, it was a tough spot for him on a short week on Thanksgiving with DeVito not able to go. Now he's had a full week of preparation. Why was it important for you to, you know, give him another shot at this and let it rip this week?
Yeah, again, he came on in that short week, you know, had some walkthrough reps. Now he's been practicing and doing show team things, but did some good things, did some things we certainly can clean up, but thought he earned an opportunity to go out there and have a full week of practice to go ahead and put his best foot forward.
Tyrone Tracy and the entire running game is something that I know you want to lean on here early in the football game. When you've got injuries on your offensive line, just like on your defensive line of the ball, it really kind of is a next man up philosophy, isn't it?
Yeah, it has to be. It doesn't slow down for anybody. So, we're work through this week. Obviously, a couple injuries, but the guys that'll be in there will be ready to go.
Coach, we appreciate a couple minutes as always. Best of luck this afternoon against the Saints.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, great stuff there from Coach Daboll, Bob Papa, John DeShazier, and, of course, Tyler Nubin, Giants rookie safety. That's all we have for the Giants Huddle podcast, brought to you by Citizens, the official bank of the Giants. I'm John Schmeelk. Thanks for being with us. Enjoy the game on Sunday, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Good sleep should come naturally, and with the new Natural Hybrid mattress, it can. A collaboration between Lisa and West Elm, the Natural Hybrid is expertly crafted from natural latex, natural wool, and certified safe foams to elevate your sleep sanctuary and support a greener tomorrow. Breathable organic cotton and moisture-wicking Joma wool consistently provide cool and comfortable slumber. Every purchase helps fuel Lisa's work with shelters and those in need. Visit lisa.com to learn more. That's LEESA.com.
We have one more act for you this evening. I don't even need to say his name. Mr. Bob Dylan.
From the director of Walk the Line and Ford vs. Ferrari.
If anyone is going to hold your attention on stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
And starring Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
Once upon a time, you're just so fine.
Inspired by the true story.
I want to know which side he's on.
This Christmas.
They just want me singing Blowing in the Wind for the rest of my life.
Bobby, what do you want to be?
Whatever it is they don't want me to be.
He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
He's our Elvis.
With no direction.
Timothy Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro.
Make some noise, BD. Track some mud on the carpet.
A complete unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17 and admitted without parent.